What's up, everyone? I'm James Young with JamesYoungPhotography.com, and today we're talking Moody Smoke Bomb Portraits. We're taking this image here and we're bringing it here. Bam. We're going desaturated, we're going high contrast, we're going matte finish, we're pulling out all the stops today. Now don't forget, there's a link in the description to the raw file down below so you can download it and follow along. Or if you think this edit should go in a completely different direction, I would love to see what you come up with. Post it on social media and tag me. All of my information is down there as well. So let's get right into it. Right off the bat, I'm just gonna check it, make sure it's sharp. Sure enough, it is. And what I wanna do is crop. Now, when you're working with visual effects like this, it's okay to shoot a little bit wide and crop in post-processing, maybe get things a little bit straight. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So with the crop tool here, I'm gonna click here on the straighten tool. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to get a straight line. So if you click and drag on an area that you know is supposed to be straight, you can instantaneously get a straight horizon. Bam. Cool. So now I'm just gonna crop it in just a little bit. Get our subject nice and centered there. And there we go. Good start. Now with our composition done the way that we want it, we can move on to the edit. In the basic panel, I'm gonna leave the exposure where it's at. I'm totally happy with what we were able to capture in the camera. Now let's bump up our contrast. We're gonna go pretty high with our contrast today on this one, going about 75. As we make our way down to the highlights, we're leaving those exactly where they're at, and we're gonna open up our shadows instead. We're going plus 55. Instantly, lots of more information. Perfect. Now with the whites, we're gonna bring those up just a little bit, about 35 on those. Fantastic. And then with the blacks, we're gonna bring those down to about minus 50. There we go. So as we get down to presence, with the clarity, we're gonna go pretty high on this. This is more of a grungy look, so we're gonna go to about plus 40. Now, normally when you're doing portraits, you kind of want to shy away from cranking the clarity too high because it makes skin just look awful. But the only skin that's showing here is a few fingers and a thumb, so we're all good. And really what it does is it makes the smoke and this dilapidated environment just look super awesome. Watch, let's turn that off and bring it back up. Woo, looks super sweet. Now with our vibrance, we're going to cut the vibrance down just a little bit. About minus 15 there. Then with our saturation, we want to pull that down as well. About minus 25. Already starting to take on a really cool look. Now, the next thing I want to do is add a little bit more contrast through the dehaze. Now, Adobe has conveniently put the dehaze tool at the very, very bottom. So go ahead and scroll all the way down to effects, and then you'll see dehaze. And then with this slider, we could bring it up to about 20. There we go. Don't ask me why it's this far down. I couldn't tell you. Now with that taken care of, let's start doing a little bit of color grading. So we'll scroll back up to our HSL, and that's our hue, saturation, and luminance. And we'll start tinkering with our colors here. The main thing I really want to focus on is this smoke. Now the smoke grenade that we used was a green one. They're made by Enola Gay. You can check those out in the description as well. It's the only smoke grenades I'm willing to use. But as far as the picture is concerned, we really want to make that color very, very distinct. Right now, because of the way it's processed, the colors are starting to get a little bit muddy. Things are kind of all blending in together, and we really want to make this pop. So the way we're going to do this is in the hue, we're going to go to our greens and bump those to the right to about plus 25. There we go. And even though we used what the label says green on the smoke grenade, a lot of the color information is registered in the camera and Adobe here as aqua. So let's move that over to the right as well, a little bit further, about 45. Now you can see just from that small change there, It's making a very substantial effect on the smoke, making it really pop out already. Next thing we're gonna do with the luminance portion is we're gonna bring down some of our warmer tones here. And the luminance is just the total exposure of a particular color channel. And the best way to show this is with the aqua. If we take it all the way down, you can see the smoke gets very, very low in exposure. If we bring it all the way up, we start to burn some of the highlights. But we're gonna take some of the warmer tones and just bring those down just a little bit. So with our orange, we'll take that down to about minus 45 or so. Yeah, about 45. With our yellows, we'll bring those down about minus 35. And then even with our greens, we're gonna take those down just a little bit to about minus 20. Now check this out, just with a few changes of the colors there, huge change, super cool. Now the next thing we wanna do is add a very, very feathered vignette. So let's scroll back down to our effects, and we have post-crop vignetting. Now to start off, we'll bring it down to about minus 10 or 15. And that gets us going. Now with the midpoint, we're gonna bring this down all the way down, and you can hold Alt or Option to see exactly where that's going. So I'm gonna bring that all the way down. And you can see that's made a huge change. It really, really makes our subject pop. Now the next thing we wanna do is go up to our tone curves. Now check this out. We're gonna make a couple points on our point curve. We're gonna do one right here, right where the highlights start. We're gonna bring those down just a little bit. And then we're gonna go somewhere in between midpoints and shadows right here. We're gonna click another one and bring that down just a little bit as well. Then we're gonna take our point all the way to the left and we're gonna raise it up just a little bit. And that's gonna give us our matte finish. Maybe bring it down just a little bit. Yeah, right about there, that looks good. And maybe with the highlights, maybe we'll just bring them up a little bit. Oh wow, that looks really good. Now watch, let's turn the tone curve off, turn that back on. Totally just change the mood of the edit there. So at this point, it would be a good idea to save this as a preset if you like where it's gone. The last thing I'm gonna do to round out this image is I'm gonna use a gradiated filter here, or you can press M on your keyboard. I'll double click on effect, and I wanna fix a little bit of exposure here. Now I used off-camera flash on this, and you can see some of the light spill hit this right wall. So to compensate for that, I'm gonna do exposure about minus 1.1 or so, and with highlights, I'm gonna bring the highlights all the way down. Now from the top right-hand corner, dragging down and to the left, I'm gonna be able to cut that exposure down substantially. And you can see some of that is starting to fall on the subject and on the smoke. And to combat that, we'll press brush under the mask area here. And the brush options, I'm gonna click erase. And I'll set my flow here somewhere around 55 or 50, so 53 is fine. And then I'm just gonna erase a little bit off of this smoke area here. Now watch what this has done. We'll turn this off, turn it back on. Really helps to round out the image. And because this is a portrait, let's just do this, double click on effect. Let's do plus 0.3 on exposure here. And we're just gonna paint a little bit of exposure on this mask, not much, just a little bit, just to make that mask really pop. Now check that out, it looks so awesome. Look at where we started and look at where we took it. You know, this is really the power of shooting in RAW. If you wanted to go print this, you would bump up the sharpness to about 70 or so, maybe reduce any noise. But I am totally happy where this edit landed. And if you like this edit, you like these tutorials, please like this video, it helps a lot. And if this is your first one, it would be awesome if you subscribe to the channel. Well, I'm James Young with JamesYoungPhotography.com, and this is Teach Me How to Lightroom.